The smartest thing Sheldon Cooper said at his own graduation wasn't his. Season 4, Episode 1. Sheldon is standing in front of an entire graduating class. The genius, the valedictorian, the kid who skipped grades while everyone else struggled to keep up. But when he gets scared about leaving high school and starting college, all that intelligence suddenly becomes useless. He can't calculate his way out of fear. He can't define it away. He doesn't even fully understand what is happening to him. Missy does. She looks at Sheldon and immediately gets it. Everything is about to change. It'll be harder. He'll miss the way things used to be. Sheldon asks how she knows. Because she's scared too. Then Missy gives him the answer he couldn't find himself. Be scared. Do it anyway. Minutes later, Sheldon stands behind that microphone and tells an entire audience that the person who gave him the courage to move forward was Missy. The boy everybody called a genius needed his supposedly average sister to explain his own emotions to him. And here's where this gets uncomfortable. That wasn't an isolated sweet moment between twins. The show had already tested both of them. Literally. Season 2, Episode 5. Sheldon and Missy are taken to a university for a twin study, and Sheldon walks in expecting exactly what everybody else expects. He'll prove he's brilliant. Missy will prove she's Missy. At first, everything feels designed for Sheldon. Tests, researchers, a university, his natural habitat. Then they put an image in front of him and ask what the character might be thinking. Sheldon doesn't understand why that matters. He wants the kind of questions with one correct answer. But the researcher tells him something that quietly blows apart the entire premise of Young Sheldon. There are different kinds of intelligence. Then they test Missy. And suddenly the average twin starts seeing things Sheldon can't. Expressions, relationships, feelings, who likes whom, who feels left out. The researcher calls her perceptive. Missy doesn't even know what the word means, which is hilarious for about 3 seconds. Then she proves she understands the Cooper family better than anybody sitting in that room. George and Georgie have football. Mary and Meemaw spend their time worrying about Sheldon. Everybody has a team. The researcher asks who Missy has. Her answer? It's just me. She was 9 years old. And she had already mapped the emotional structure of her entire family. That's not a cute observation. That's intelligence. Just not the intelligence anybody in that house was measuring. Psychologists have a framework for this. Emotional intelligence. Here. In the ability model developed by psychologists John Mayer, Peter Salovey, and David Caruso, emotional intelligence involves abilities such as perceiving emotions, understanding them, using emotional information, and managing emotion. Now think about Sheldon. Put a physics problem in front of him and everybody else disappears. Put a frightened human being in front of him, and sometimes the problem might as well be written in another language. Missy is almost the reverse. She may not know what perceptive means, but she knows when somebody's scared. She knows when somebody's lying. She knows when two adults are pretending everything is fine. She knows when she's being left out before anyone admits she's been forgotten. And that ability becomes more painful as she gets older, because noticing everything means noticing what everybody else wishes you wouldn't. Season 6, Episode 15. Missy's family forgets to pick her up from school. She waits an hour. Nobody comes. She walks home alone. But that's not even the part that destroys her. Mandy had the baby. Everybody knew. Missy didn't. Then George and Mary try to treat the incident like one bad day. Missy won't let them, because she's already been watching them. She knows Mary hasn't been sleeping at home. She knows her parents are fighting. She knows Sheldon can say outrageous things and get forgiven because he's Sheldon. She knows Georgie's baby has become the newest emergency. So when they tell her they forgot her once, Missy finally unloads years of evidence. They've been forgetting her entire life. Everything is Sheldon. Now everything is the baby. She might as well be invisible. Here's the part people miss. Missy's intelligence doesn't protect her from pain. It makes the pain harder to escape, because she can see the pattern. Sheldon can disappear into trains, numbers, databases, physics. Missy has to sit in that house and read everybody. Every look, every argument, every shift in attention. Every moment somebody needs something more urgently than they need her. Emotional intelligence sounds like a superpower until you're the kid using it to figure out why nobody noticed you were gone. And one episode later, she makes them notice. Season 6, Episode 16. Missy steals George's truck. She runs away with Paige. Now, look at who the writers put beside her. Paige. Another genius. Another child capable of doing intellectual things most adults can't. But emotionally, Paige is falling apart. Her parents' divorce has wrecked the world underneath all that intelligence. So now you have two girls in one truck. One academically brilliant. One supposedly average. Both hurting. But Missy understands the thing nobody at home has understood yet. Paige asks whether Missy's parents know she's gone. Missy's answer is brutal. They barely notice when she's there. Strip the comedy out of that. A child has reached the point where disappearing feels like a reasonable test of whether her presence matters. That's not Missy being stupid. That's Missy acting on a conclusion she's been gathering evidence for since Season 2. Nobody's on my team. Remember that? Season 2 gave us the observation. Season 6 gave us the consequence. Subscribe to Cooper Untold because young Sheldon keeps doing this. It'll hide a character's entire future inside a joke 4 seasons earlier, then wait for you to forget it. But Missy's strangest proof of intelligence still hasn't happened, because eventually George dies. And suddenly every Cooper has to deal with something nobody can solve. Season 7, Episode 13. Sheldon retreats into himself. He keeps replaying George's final morning in his head, imagining different versions of what he could have said. Missy goes another direction. She's angry, sharp, impossible. Then she walks to George's casket. The attitude disappears. She remembers being with her father. Nothing intellectual, nothing complicated, just connection. Then she thanks him. She tells him she loves him. That's Missy again. Feel it. Recognize it. Say it. Messily sometimes. Painfully sometimes. But she lives in the emotional world Sheldon spends most of his childhood trying to turn into something logical. And if you think I'm exaggerating that difference, The Big Bang Theory gives us the final piece years later. Season 11, Episode 23. Adult Sheldon is arguing with Georgie. George has been dead for decades. Sheldon believes Mary handled things after their father died. Georgie has to tell him what actually happened. Mary was falling apart. Missy was struggling. Georgie stayed behind and helped hold everything together. Sheldon genuinely didn't know. He says if things were that bad, somebody should have told him. Then Georgie explains the part Sheldon never saw. Everybody was protecting him. Sheldon finally admits that he hadn't really considered what life had been like for everyone else. Wait. Go all the way back. Season 2. Missy is a little girl sitting in a university study. She looks at her family for 5 seconds and understands who's getting attention, who's connected to whom, and where she stands inside the system. Decades later, adult Sheldon still needs Georgie to explain the emotional reality of that same family to him. That's the twist. Missy wasn't secretly better at physics. She wasn't going to beat Sheldon at mathematics. That's not the argument. She was brilliant at the one subject Sheldon spent his entire life struggling to understand. People. She could read a room before Sheldon could read his own fear. She could detect a broken family before the adults admitted it was cracking. She could understand loneliness before she even knew the sophisticated words adults would use to describe it. That's emotional intelligence. And the cruel joke is that because Missy's intelligence didn't produce equations, scholarships, laboratories, or Nobel Prizes, almost nobody called it intelligence. They called it attitude, sarcasm, trouble, teenage drama. But watch the series again and pay attention to who understands what's happening emotionally before everybody else catches up. You'll start seeing Missy everywhere, not standing behind Sheldon, standing in a place he could never quite reach. And tell me which Missy scene made you realize she understood the Cooper family better than they understood themselves. Because Sheldon spent his childhood proving he was the smartest person in every room. Missy spent hers proving that knowing everything means very little if you still can't understand the people